One does not have to be a detective or an expert to spot the anomalies. One does not have to be a detective or an expert to spot the anomalies in the last elections. Let us look at the Omnibus Election Code. Section 212 of the Omnibus Election Code states, any election return with a separately printed serial number or which bears a different serial number from the assigned precinct shall not be canvassed, unless the Commission shall order in writing for its canvassing. Now, keeping that law in mind, observe, in this ER, the page number is printed, but the serial number is stamped. Both numbers should be printed at the same time. Serial numbers can be copied using numbering machines sold in many bookstores. This highly irregular practice would render the ER not accountable. We cannot overemphasize the fact that the election return, or ER, is the election document closest to the ballot, not the certificate of canvass. The ER, therefore, reflects the true results of the voting. During the congressional canvassing of the 2004 votes, the ERs were never opened when questions about tampered COCs were raised. Now, we know why. Look at this provincial COC from Agusan del Norte. We have 3 pages. Keep in mind that page 1 has the names and totals of the presidential and vice presidential candidates. We have marked in red the gaps between the page numbers and the serial numbers. Notice that page 1 does not have the same size gap. This is still the same COC. Notice how the serial number of page 1 does not align with the other pages. Once again, we remind you that the list of candidates for president and vice president appear only on page 1. All the operators have to do is switch page 1 to change the results. Section 212 of the Omnibus Election Code further says that in the ERs, the tally of votes for each candidate is closed by the signing of names and affixing of right thumb marks by all 3 Board of Election inspectors. This ER is naked. That is, there is no closure of entries as required by law. There is a mystery in this ER from Florida Blanca, Pampanga. There is no way that these are human thumb marks. These are small round marks. These do not look like thumb marks, nor do they look human. Let us compare the Florida Blanca ER to an ER from San Juan. Can you spot the differences? Once again, Section 212 of the Omnibus Election Code is violated. Let us take one more look at the ER from Florida Blanca. Notice the orderly and neat taras. This is an impossible feat unless it is done in the comfort of an air-conditioned room, but not at midnight inside a hot and crowded precinct by tired, hungry, and sleepy teachers. Here is another mystery in the Florida Blanca ER. On the same day in Las Piñas, about 80 kilometers away, we see taras written by the same hand, in the same style, numbers look identical, and signatures were taken from the same person. COMELEC Resolution 6667, Section 15 states that each precinct shall receive 2 thumb marks or fingerprint takers, among other forms and supplies. The color of these takers is grayish-black. Here you have in living color a virtual rainbow of thumb marks from the inspectors. COMELEC Resolution 6667, Section 15. Violated. These illustrations confirm wanton violation of election laws to favor GMA. But the scheme did not stop there. The next step was to pad the number of registered voters. COMELEC inflated the numbers from the normally projected 38.8 million to 43.5 million, an addition of about 5 million voters. Here's a look at projections of the number of registered voters in past elections. Instead of using the normal 47% of the total population as the expected number of registered voters, COMELEC used 54%. Voter addition facilitates and conceals vote padding. How did this work for GMA? In Pampanga, Cebu, Iloilo, and Bohol, or the PCIB area, there was an increase of 951,695 registered voters. You will see that this is roughly the same number of votes that were added to GMA. People are asking, if GMA was leading the race, why did she have to call Garci? Why indeed did she have to call Garci, her appointed and not confirmed COMELEC commissioner, famous for dagdag bawas tactics? Because the unexpected happened. The fabricated votes from GMA's bailiwicks were not enough to cover the avalanche of votes for FPJ that came in from Luzon, including Metro Manila. Here is a table which illustrates the lead in the presidential race based on the tampered COCs. Notice the vote shaving in Luzon and vote padding in the Visayas. Luzon figures account for 57% of the total registered voters, while the Visayas accounts for 21%. But compare the totals. Luzon has 1.7 million and Visayas has 2.3. Never in the history of Philippine elections have the votes from the Visayas outnumbered the votes in Luzon. GMA received an artificial lead of 567,656 after the PCIB votes were canvassed. Historically, no candidate has been elected president without winning the vote-rich Lingayen to Lucena corridor. This covers Pangasinan, Tarlac, Pampanga, Bulacan, Metro Manila, Rizal, Laguna, Cavite, Batangas, and Quezon, for a total of 15.5 million votes, or 36.5% of the registered voters.